Hello friends! Continuing with the series of tutorial videos on Hitek Studio software, which is related to HMI devices from Hitek brands. Today, we want to get familiar with macros and see how to write macros in Hitek HMIs and where to access the macro section. As you know, macros are small utility programs that can help us in process control and reduce the amount of PLC programming we need to do. Macros are usually written in either VBA script or C language. In Hitek HMIs, macros are written in the C programming language. Let's go into the Hitek Studio software, enter the macro section, and see how we should actually do the programming. So in the Hitek Studio software, where do we find the macros and how do we actually do the programming? Well, one way is to go to the Macro tab, select Common Macro, click on Create Macro, and a macro will be created for us. Another way is to go here in the project window, select the Macro section, click on Create Macro, and create a macro for ourselves. Okay, I'm going to delete the macro I just wrote here. In the macro section, I select Command Macro and then Create Macro. Now I choose a name for my macro. I'll just leave it as macro1 and click OK. A new window opens for me. In this section, I need to write my related program and do the coding. How should we do the coding? Here, for example, I currently have an LW0 address, which I have specifically named A for clear identification. I have an LW1 address, which I've named B. I currently possess an LW, specifically an LW1 address, which I have personally named and designated as C. So I want that whenever I click this equal button, it adds A and B together and stores the result in C. So how should I write the program for this? I open the same macro that I created. I will delete these items from here. First and foremost, I need to precisely specify the particular data type of the variable that I intend to assign a specific value to. As you know, in programming languages, we have to specify what type of variable or data we want to enter. What type of data is it? Is it an integer, a floating point number, a double word, or a double integer? Or is it in some other form, like a bit type? So here, since the values I want to assign to A and B are integers, I specify that my data is of type integer. So I write int. Now, the total number of data points or distinct variables that I currently have available are A, B, C, and D. And at the very end, I definitely have to properly put a semicolon. All right, but in the next line, I want to say that if I assign a value to A, assign a value to B, and click the equal button, A and B should be added together and the result should be stored in C. So first I need to specify my variables here. I click on the Create option. I specify that my variable is of type Word and its address is LW0. I name it var1, variable 1. My variable 1 is actually A, to which I assign the address LW0. Click OK. I have another variable called B. That one is also of type Word and I name it var2, meaning variable 2. Its address is LW1. I confirm this one as well. But for my third variable, again, I set it to Word, meaning it's of type integer. var3. I will assign it the address specifically LW2. Okay. So the first thing we need to do is to give our variables a name so that we can program more easily. After specifying the data type and defining my variables, I need to determine what values are going to be assigned to each of these variables, A, B, C, and D. Which parameter and which address am I supposed to read from? Are they supposed to perform a read or a write operation? Okay, I want it to read the value of variable A from variable 1. The value of B from variable 2, then add A and B together, store the result in C, and then assign the value of variable C into variable 3, like this. So first I write A equals. I want it to read A from variable 1. I go here. In the read-write function section, I select read word register because it's an integer and a word. So I choose read word register. Okay, a window opens up for me down here. It asks which of these specific alias names that you have meticulously defined here do you actually want to assign. I then say that I want to assign the variable 1. All right, that sounds good. Now I want to assign variable 1 to A. Specifically, I want to assign the alias name of variable 1 to A, effectively linking them. Let it read the word register. I set a constant value, I say its value is 0, and I click insert. Okay, you can see here that it writes. Get word means go and read, retrieve. The value of variable 1. So what is variable 1? Address LW0, put it into A, and its constant value at the start is 0. Okay, it's the same for B. I have to do the same thing. B equals. I want to assign the value of variable 2, which is address LW1 to B. Again, here instead of variable 1, I put variable 2. Again, its constant value is 0, and I click insert. You can see that again, it says get word variable 2, meaning read variable 2, and put it into B. Now I want my C to be equal to A plus B. I assign it to C. So now C effectively adds A and B together, stores it in C, and then we have the essential semicolon. Be sure to always keep in mind that at the end of each line in your program, you should always have a semicolon present. Now I want to put the value of C into register 3, which is LW2. So in this particular instance, I will add another variable which I will call D. Now instead of simply reading the variable, I specifically want it to be inserted directly into the current document. So I absolutely have to utilize the set word register option. Therefore, the crucial question is, which specific word register set do I precisely want to use? Variable 3, constant value 0. Insert. So look here, there's a blank space for me. I want to set the variable 3, meaning I want to put something inside the variable 3 this time. So what do I want to pour? I want to add the value C, which is A plus B. So I'll put C here. So this means that I want to put C into variable C, variable 3. Okay, that's it. So our program turned out like this. It turned out that at first I defined 4 variables of type integer. For the variable A, I specified that it should read the value of variable 1. For the variable B, I specified that it should read variable 2, which is the same as the LW1 address. I said C should add A and B, and in the D variable, I told it to put C into the LW2 address, which is variable 3. Okay, I'll hit save so I can check if the program I wrote is correct or not. I click on the compiling option. If there's any error in my program, it will show me here. You can see it says compile successfully, which means there are no errors in my program. Alright, I'll close the macro I wrote. Here, I've placed a numeric input. I assigned it the LW0 address for A. Here, I've placed a symbolic plus sign. Here, I assign it the LW2 address. I assign it the LW1 address. So A became LW0. B became LW1, which was a numeric value, and C subsequently becomes LW2. This transformation ensures that the data is consistently formatted and easily processed. Okay. But I've placed a switch here. I want this particular switch so that whenever I press it, the value of A is added to B and then stored in C. Well, for this operation to effectively take place, I need to set this switch to its macro execute mode. That is, by pressing this switch, macro 1 will be executed. What is macro 1 supposed to do? It should add A to B and store the result in C. Alright, let me delete this. I selected the switch and this page opened for me. When you click on the function key option, this page will open for you. It asks, what is the function of this switch? What task is it supposed to perform? I say it should execute the macro, meaning it should activate the macro. Which macro? I enter its number here. I select macro 1, confirm it, and then click OK again. So this switch is responsible for making my macro run once every time I press it. Alright, now I'll run this in offline simulation. Now, If I were to assign a specific value to variable A, and then assign the numerical value of 5 to variable B by carefully pressing this equal option along with the equal switch, both A and B should be accurately added together and subsequently stored within variable C. You can see that it added A and B and stored the result in C. So we've learned that the macro section in HMIs in the Hitek Studio software works like this. First, we need to specify the type of variables we want to use in our program. Here, I have 4 variables. I've chosen their type as integer. And for each of the variables, I specified which value should be read and which value should be written into them. For A, I said to read the value of variable 1. For B, I said the value of variable 2. For C, I said to add A and B together. For D, I said to put the value of C into variable 3 and store it in D. Now I want to add another option, another program to this project. I want to use conditions. As you know, in programming languages, if we want to write a condition, we have to use if. This is the fundamental operator from the if loop. Okay, I'll write the if, open and close parentheses. Inside the parentheses, I specifically need to clearly specify the precise condition that I want to thoroughly check. I would say, for instance, if A, which represents the actual value of the variable A, and this variable A is indeed my variable number 1, meaning it corresponds to my logical block 0, is significantly greater than, for example, the numerical value of 20. We open and close the curly braces. Inside here, whatever is supposed to happen, the program that needs to run here should be written in this section between these two curly braces. So I say, if A is greater than 20, what should happen? I need to write that action here. I say, if the value of A is greater than 20, then what should it do? For example, let's say I want to precisely control the state of a signal light, turning it on and off. To achieve this, I need to utilize individual bits of digital information. Set the register bit. When you want to assign a value to a variable, you need to use set bits or set words. But if you want to read a value and store it in a variable, you need to use read. So here I select set bit. Okay, set which bit? First and foremost, I need to specify here that, for example, I have set the address LB0 as lamp 1 for clarity and ease of understanding. I assigned it the address LB0. I confirm it. I save it. Okay, now the lamp should have been added here for me. Yes. I'm saying set the bit for lamp 1 with the address LB0. Its initial value should also be 0 and insert it. So set bit means to turn it on, meaning put a 1 into the LB0 address, or in other words, my lamp 1. Else, if A is not greater than 20, what should be done? I open and close the code block again. I write my condition inside this again. What should be done? I just copy this. I paste it here. This time I say don't set it to 1. Set my LB0 address to 0 because it's not greater than 20. So I put an if statement. I used a conditional operator and said if A is greater than 20, set the bit. Set what? Lamp 1. What's the address of lamp 1? LB0 and set its value to 1. If otherwise, else if A is not greater than 20, just put the value 0 into the lamp 1 variable, which means I save it to the LB0 address. I'll hit compile again to make sure my program doesn't have any errors. You can see it says compile successfully, meaning there are no errors in my program. Okay, here I've placed this signal lamp. I assigned it the LB0 address. If the numerical value of my A variable becomes greater than 20, this specific signal lamp should then illuminate and turn on. Following this, I am going to proceed with simulating the entire program. Alright, I'll enter the value for A, for example 2. I'll enter 3 for B and press equal. You see it became 5, but since my A value isn't greater than 20, the signal lamp still hasn't turned on. Now I'll enter, say, 22 for A, press equal, and its value becomes 25. A was added to B, it became 25, and my signal lamp turned on. Why? Because my A is greater than 20. So up to this point, we've learned how to effectively create macros in the Hitek Studio software and also how to precisely assign appropriate values to various variables.